That day, the Arctic Research Station was silent, except for the crunch of boots on pristine snow and the rare whisper of wind. Dr. Peter Russo, expedition leader and lead scientist, stood quite still, his breath making delicate crystals in the frigid air. Something was buried in the glacial face before him in a shape so unexpected it tripped his scientific thinking into overdrive. In a flash, the entire expedition crew gathered at the site. The well-planned expedition now began to feel almost like an insignificant prologue to something much greater. Peter's hands shook ever so slightly as he initiated the precise work of uncovering the mysterious object, each blow and scrape of his chisels disclosing a little more of its tantalizing outline. As they were doing this, a sense of unease tautened. The workers glanced nervous and fidgety, their professional demeanor wearing down with each successive revelation. Several started to back away, scientific curiosity giving way to an unaccountable rising tide of dread. Not Peter, however, who was transfixed, his curiosity overwhelming any sense of fear. When the last layer of ice yielded its secret, Peter fell to his knees. His words a whispered, "How is this possible?" Zrenia hung suspended in the air as if the prayer of a disbelieving man. Before them lay the discovery beyond anything they could have perceived, a living witness to something against scientific understanding. Questions swirled like the Arctic wind. How had this been preserved? What secrets did it hold? And perhaps most critically, was the world truly prepared for what they had uncovered? The age of climate change had unraveled secrets that had long been locked up in ancient ice and turned erstwhile impenetrable landscapes into hunting grounds for the most ambitious of explorers. Yet, while many were satisfied with dreams of discovery, Dr. Peter Rasmussen was different. At 36, he combined scientific precision with a true adventurous spirit, a blend of characteristics rare in contemporaries. Greenland's northern territories had always been a taboo area, a white gap on the map of human travels. But with higher global temperatures, new opportunities opened up, and Peter was ready to seize them. His trip was very well planned but purposefully minimalist. He had only the most important things with him, knowing that in the Arctic, it's your head that's going to save you, not your backpack. The first weeks represented a trial, a constant test of being able to keep going. Biting winds and endless white landscapes challenged his resolve, whittled down his supplies, and tested the limits of his determination. Any lesser explorer would have turned back. Peter's passion burned brighter than the cold could freeze. Weeks of isolation culminated in a moment of extraordinary potential. A peculiar rock formation emerged from the vast ice plain, an anomaly that immediately captured his attention. Subtle details caught his eye, a whisper of wind passing through rocky crevices, suggesting something hidden beneath the surface. He moved with calculated motions to remove a heavy stone and reveal a narrow, downward-sloping tunnel. It was a hazardous descent. What had started as a narrow pass gradually opened up, the natural light receding behind him until it was completely dark. His headlamp cut through the gloom, showing him fantastic shapes of ice that seemed to protect something that lay ahead. Peter had spent years exploring and getting himself ready for such moments, when curiosity danced a little too close to recklessness. Then he saw it, an unusual ice wall with a dark, almost ominous silhouette. Something was embedded within something large enough to make his scientifically trained heart race, but wisdom tempered his excitement. He was alone deep within an unexplored cave system, and one miscalculation could be fatal. Peter systematically wrote down his findings. He sketched a detailed map of the cave, marking the direction of tunnels and various landmarks. His notes were exact, making sure he would be able to find his way back to this spot again. Only after completing this task did he begin the challenging ascent back to the surface. It was night by the time he emerged, and Arctic darkness had wrapped the landscape. Setting camp became an immediate priority as survival always preceded exploration. His mind, though, was already working ahead as he prepared his shelter. He would make his way to the nearest village to round up a team of seasoned researchers and return with them to unravel the mystery behind that enigmatic wall of ice. Sleep would not come. but the promise of discovery hummed beneath his skin, a melody of anticipation drowning out the howling wind. Tomorrow would be the first step toward what could very well be the most momentous scientific revelation of his career. As the darkness swept through the Arctic landscape, the vortex of possibilities swirled within his mind. That enigmatic silhouette haunted his dreams, constantly shifting and changing between possible explanations. Undiscovered species, ancient artifacts, remnants of some lost civilization. He even spared himself a momentary laugh with the fleeting image of Bigfoot, immediately dismissing it as utter fantasy. Sleep came fitfully, more in expectation of revelation than in any real rest. With the first golden rays of dawn, Peter was ready to undertake his quest. His digital map, frustratingly imprecise, made him have to rely on his keen memory and carefully observed landmarks. Determination burned inside him. He would find that cave again, no matter what. Recruiting local help proved surprisingly easy. Money spoke a universal language in this remote corner of the world. Peter carefully orchestrated his narrative, revealing minimal details. The locals, more interested in quick earnings than scientific curiosity, asked few questions. They gathered supplies, secured snow scooters capable of navigating the treacherous terrain, and prepared for the expedition. Money hemorrhaged from Peter's bank account, but he barely noticed. Fame was at his fingertips finally, the lifelong dream of chiseling his name into scientific history in letters a mile high had come. Every dollar spent now was so much investment in his legacy. The return journey soon became a test of Peter's memory. A recent snowstorm had blanketed the landscape, hiding familiar markers under a pristine layer of white. Hours passed with no sign of the cave entrance in sight, and anxiety was growing. Just when it seemed as though all hope would be lost, one of the hired helpers made a break. A probing stick suddenly plunging through the snow-covered ground. Excitement rippled through the group as they carefully made their way down into the familiar tunnel. Peter's heart was racing, each step closer to the mysterious wall he had uncovered. The cave was just as he had left it, a time capsule waiting to be unlocked. The thick ice wall stood before them, its dark silhouette both tantalizing and intimidating. Peter's hired help exchanged bewildered glances, sensing they were part of something extraordinary. The oldest among them stepped forward, a glimmer of understanding dawning in his weathered eyes. They worked in a manner aimed at not concealing the impact of their discovery, working painstakingly for what could be enclosed within this icy tomb. Hours went by chiseling, and their progress was painfully slow. The ice was stubborn and obstinate, it seemed, not to give away its secret. Then, in a moment, everything changed. A single misplaced blow, a moment of tension, and then total silence. The moment the workers' tool struck the ice, everything changed. A deep, resonant rumble erupted through the cave, sending tremors of anticipation and fear through the small expedition. Massive cracks spiderwebbed across the ice wall, spreading with terrifying speed and precision. Peter's companions instinctively retreated, some bolting toward the cave entrance, convinced the entire structure was about to collapse. But Peter remained rooted to the spot, transfixed. Seconds stretched into an eternity before the ice wall spectacularly disintegrated, showering the cave floor with countless crystalline fragments. What lay revealed was nothing like Peter's wild speculations. Instead of an exotic creature or supernatural phenomenon, a stone wall emerged, ancient and remarkable in its own right. Intricate drawings of such darkness and thickness covered the stone surface that they had been visible even through the ice. Now fully exposed, the artwork told a story of survival of human existence in this most unforgiving of landscapes. Hunting scenes of primitive humans stalking prey, figures dancing around flames, complex narratives etched into stone by hands long forgotten. The thought overwhelmed Peter and he dropped to his knees. Initial disappointment at not finding a mysterious creature gave way to scientific excitement. These were no ordinary markings. They were a window into human history, evidence of survival in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Over the succeeding months, the scientific community flocked to the site. Experts from various fields of study, such as archaeology, anthropology, and prehistoric studies, documented every inch of the cave in minute detail. It was immediately declared a protected archaeological site, with controlled access via highly regulated protocols. Peter had gone from an ambitious explorer to discovering perhaps one of the biggest prehistoric art sites in the Arctic. Peter's true motivations had always lain in recognition, not personal gain. And now that his name would be indelibly linked with the groundbreaking discovery, he felt assured of something so much more worthy than riches, a part of human history to be discussed and digested for many years to come. Years later, if anyone asked him what his greatest accomplishment had been, Peter would just smile. For this moment, this cave, these drawings heralded the apex of his scientific career, not for any monetary value it might have held, but because it expanded the knowledge of humanity about itself, showing the resilience and ingenuity of our ancient ancestors in the most unlikely of places.